a physician scientist that's a part of cardiology. So it's actually the beauty of this program that you can choose anyone to work at, not just about it to just to be in the department like some other programs, but also it can be any branches of engineering or anyone from School of Medicine. It's very flexible.
This sort of answers the next question, which was, so we can choose professors from other departments. Answer is yes. And another question that I heard that mentors are already decided on a mission to JHU for international students.
What's the question? That what?
I heard that mentors are already decided on the mission to JHU for international students.
No, that's not true.
This is not true. And next quick question, have you guys been contacted by BME professors yet? That's one.
Yeah, so in terms of professors contacting you if you're doing a Skype interview instead of on-campus interview, we literally just finished our on-campus interview yesterday. And some of us working on that probably didn't sleep for like the last week. So it's been very busy. It has been very hectic. So the professors are also probably very busy as well. So they will contact you once they have time to contact you. But at the meantime, we just have to ask you to be patient.
And next question, can I ask this? How many international students will BME PhD program give offers to?
Well, we have, in fact, the truth that from when you guys started, that's December 1st, right? And then we sent out the invitation offer January 18th. It took us a long time. There's a reason, because we do a multi-round of reviewing, and including first is myself. I had to read all the 475 applications in 2 weeks, finish all of them, and then divided by four different research concentration, and then we give to each group of faculty. And then each research concentration, your application will be reviewed at least 3 faculty in that research area. And then that group will meet and discuss, and everybody, also every faculty, when they read your application, we have a score, from your GPA, GRE, each application letter, each recommendation letter, your personal statement. So one faculty read each application, they have to give 8 numbers for that particular application. And then the research group will discuss, pick the top candidates, and then from the 4 group will come up like about 110, I think, 112 from the about 500 applications. And then we have the whole department discussion, review, we'll vote on each single of the 100 people. So what I'm saying is I'm kind of giving you a little bit scoop of how we did the review, and that's the reason I'm showing you we did a lot of work. So we don't want our effort, it's just for fun. So we want everybody to get accepted. We do the interview, it just make sure and the person we see and we interviewed has exactly the same quality as we see on the application paper. So in general speaking, we want everybody get accepted. Because we did, so many people put effort, put time on it. Okay? So I hope you all do well.
Yeah. I guess the next question on the thing is saying that what happens if PIs cannot get tenure?
You actually have to find another PI.
Yeah. Do you want to say more about it?
So I was a master student of the department like 1 year ago. My PI just doesn't have funding, so he went to, I think, NIH, and other students of his lab just find other new mentors.
Yeah. So the department's always on your back, as I said. The department can fully fund the students. So like if you do have issues, the department at home would totally be on your side and help you out. And then can we skip rotations if admitted to this program? If anyone did rotations here? No.
So,
Yes,
okay, so actually, so I think right now we have both RA and fellowship.
Yeah.
So if you're RA, then I don't think you have to actually have the opportunity to do the rotation. But if you're a fellowship, you can decide if you really like the first lab you join in, you don't have to do any rotation. Actually, I get a fellowship, but I just very like the lab I joined in my first rotation, so I just stayed. So I didn't do any rotation. But if you really want to go around and to take a look at other labs, then you can definitely do other rotations. So all depends on you.
Right. And so yeah, like I know some other student in my class too. They are on fellowship and they have opportunities to like do 3 rotations, but many of them just decide to stick with the first lab that they rotated in.
Yeah.
And then and some I mean some like there's always two side opinions about this matter, right? I mean if you skip and you just want to stick with the lab that you're rotating in, then you're gonna save a lot more time later on for the PhD program and maybe be more productive because you start early. But also if you skip rotation, then you may not otherwise find out about other opportunities or you're gonna skip like learning other new techniques or knowledge in other fields, and so that's totally up to you.
I guess should we talk about the difference between FA and RA-ship? Or yeah, okay. So there's a difference. This recent couple years we started the program in terms of research assistantship. So I think previously people all come in just as fellowship students, but recently we've tried this thing called research assistantship. That means that you come in with a committed faculty who is very interested in you and hopefully you're very interested in him or her, and then you just start the PhD process right from the very beginning of the journey. So you don't actually rotate through anyone, but you just commit to one faculty and do the research. And that, in one sense, actually save you some time because if you do rotations and you spend a year shopping for different kinds of faculties, you might lose that 1 year of research time. But if you start from the very beginning, you might save that 1 year. So that could be a factor that contribute to the 6 years, the 5.8 year average that you saw on the side, because recently we started the RA-ship and previously most students started as an FA-ship. Yeah, so that's just a little bit of difference. If you have more questions, ask, but that's an overview. And I'll go on. So I heard that we will have Skype interviews with 2 or 3 faculties. How have the interviews decided? How are the interviews decided?
So each applicant will, it doesn't matter we conduct a Skype interview or on-campus interview. Each applicant will have 3 interviews. And the 3 interviews have to be positive. I can tell you if one of them didn't go well, and I do give faculty kind of in summary, 3 options. One is admit, another one is caution, the third one is reject. If one interview, one of the 3, interview didn't do well, get rejected, that's pretty much it will be a rejection. So if it's 2 cautions, we may kind of discuss with the 2 faculty but in the past, most likely, if you receive 2 cautions from the 3 faculty, that's equivalent to a rejection as well. And so however, I don't want you to be panic, and sometimes our faculty, after the interview, you may feel differently, and some of our faculty try to make it harder, but they does not have that high expectation. This is a fact. Some faculty, I think, even through the Skype interview, they give you math quiz. They want you to solve a problem even on the phone. It happened. So don't But however, he does not expecting you finish. And it is okay, you don't know the answer right away. Most likely we want to know how you solve the problem, how you think about it, the skills side for, doing research. And then you say, oh, did I screw up or whatever? No, not necessarily, And my suggestion is that be confident and, just be yourself and telling what you know, and nervous and anxious does not help. Okay?
Yeah, I guess that can go into a little bit of the interview tips that many people have been asking, and we can share a little bit. I guess maybe any of you did Skype interview. Yeah, maybe Holly can talk a little bit about her experience with the Skype interview.
In my interview, I've been asked about my research experience and my interest and my career plan, and also some kind of question about because my research is MRI, also some kind of professional question about the MRI. So that's all.
I guess in terms of on-campus interview, most of the professors are really interested in that you know what you did. So if they ask you a question about your own research and you don't know it, that's a problem. But if they ask you a question about their research, that's mostly not gonna happen. They're gonna talk to you about their research, and they don't expect you to know their research that well, but they really expect you to know your own research really well. Yeah. And also, to answer one of the person's questions, will the interview be one student with many professors? I don't think that happens.
Very few chances might happen, but very few. In general, will be one-on-one interview.
Yeah, most likely one-on-one. Maybe they'll want you to meet their students, so they'll have a student or two with them, but that is not for them to question you, that is for them to introduce you to the lab.
That might be a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Okay, more questions.
Is there any possibility to graduate in less than 5 years?
Yeah.
Our shortest one is kind of 3.5 years.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, she graduated in 3.5 years.
That's if you want to make it happen, it can happen.
And also if you have a master degree, and we do transfer courses and credits. So it doesn't matter which country you did your master's, as long as it's relevant to biology, it's relevant to engineering, math, computer science, in general, we all transfer credits. So that makes things faster and quicker as well.
I think that the graduation also depends on the requirement of your PI. In my lab, my PI required us 3 papers. So if you finish those, you could discuss the problems.
Of course, we did have many extraordinary, graduate students. One student, he's an MD PhD, he did a PhD, he did medicine, had to be 4 years, and he finished PhD 3 years, 20 papers, about 10 patents, and 3 children. I hope someone can beat that record.
Wow. Did he sleep ever? Okay, so I think someone asked about the funding. If tuition's waived and they have a sponsor organization, does that mean they don't need to pay for tuition?
They don't pay for tuition.
Yeah, you don't have to pay for tuition, but they have to pay for a stipend, right? Or is it the PI?
Yeah, the PI.
The PI will pay for a stipend. Okay.
And the insurance.
Alright. Would everyone be doing that? Sometimes I just choose some applicants to interview. What does that mean?
Would everyone be interviewed sometime? Just choose applicants.
Which class?
Homebody.
Yeah, in the middle, everyone.
Would everyone be interviewed sometime or just choose some of them?
Oh, it's just if everyone is getting interviewed.
Yes, if you are here, that means you will be interviewed.
Yeah.
And then, yes, and it's a matter of time. I think in general, I will, we just finished the first group campus interview. Everybody has been very, very busy, and so I would think give you a little bit of timeline. I will remind the faculty to do the Skype as well. Probably I would think by, early of March or mid of March, everybody should get interviewed by then. I will remind the faculty. That's the time, the second week of March. That's probably the time that I'm going to send out the result, either accept or reject.
Yeah, okay, so, alright.
Answer all of the first year students awarded fellowship. So someone asked, are all of the first year students awarded fellowship or there's also RA for income? Yes, we have fellowship and RA.
Yeah.
We can type it there so everyone can see it.
Because
we already answered this question, right?
Yeah, we can type it. Okay, that one we answered. So can we give some more information of GPO,
I think it's DBO.
DBO, okay. Anyways, that's the qualified exam. So I guess the people who've gone through it can give some.
Yeah, so for GBO exam, first, you have to set up your committee, which have five professors on your committee, which are the professors that are gonna ask you questions. And they will usually still have to contact two other professors as alternatives, which means if one of the professors from those five cannot show up that day, then you have to ask one of the alternatives to come to your GBO exam that day. So first you have to contact those professors, figure out which day and what time all of them will be available, then set up the time with them, then you can start to prepare for your GBO. Okay, that's the first preparation. Then usually the GBO questions are based on the classes you are taken, because those professors usually you contact with them because you took their classes. That's most of the time. So I think from the five professors, one of them is definitely your advisor, and I think our department require one professor whose research is about biology, because we always have to take biology related classes like medical school classes or just biology classes from the grad school. So you have to ask one professor from biology, and you have to ask at least one professor doing mathematics or physics. So that's also the classes you have to take. You have to take some mathematics class and or physics class, and the rest of them usually will ask professors who we think we're doing a very good job in their classes, and most of them I think is like engineering classes because we're biomedical engineering, right? So then you start. Usually we will spend 1 month to study for the DBO, and what you do usually is you went through the class slides when you took those classes. Definitely you can talk to the professor before you start to prepare for the DBO. You can like ask the professors like what kind of question. They can still hear us.
Yeah, they can still
Okay.
hear us.
So usually you can ask them questions like which part of the class you would like to focus your question on, because usually the GBO exam lasts about 2 hours. Oh, sorry, the GBO exam is it's an oral test. It's like it's not a paper-based exam. So all you're gonna do is you're gonna stand in front five professors, and they're gonna ask you questions. You're just answer in front of them. So usually the professor will ask questions like about the classes you learn from their classes. So you can ask the professor usually like which part of the class you would like to focus on, because sometimes the professor will say, okay, I would like to relate the knowledge you learned from my class, kind of relate to the research you did. So, but some of the professors would say he will just try to cover everything he actually taught during the class. So you definitely would like to talk to them. Then you would like to talk to the senior students in the lab who already took the GBO, you can ask them like which professor you like to choose for your committee board, and what kind of preparation you need to do for the GBO, ask the senior students. So they definitely will give you a lot of very helpful suggestions. And the third thing is very important, you need to do a mock before the GBO, which means you can, after you have done your preparation for about 2 or 3 weeks, you ask the senior students in your lab to kind of like, they kind of like just do a mock of the DBO. They can ask a question, whatever question they think is important to ask you, just like how the professor will do right in your DBO. So that will definitely help a lot to do the preparation. So let me think about what else. Yeah, that's pretty much all of it. So in summary is find the professor, set up the time, and study, reviewing all the knowledge you learned in the classes, then ask the senior students to help you to do a mock. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Does Jana have anything, like any suggestions? Maybe, okay, oh, Han sure. You haven't done it yet.
You mean for DBO?
Yeah, do you have any suggestions?
Oh, I took my DBO too long ago. Well, you definitely have to contact your senior students about what type of question, like what faculties you should invite to your committee. Some faculties could be tough, while others might be of a different style, and the senior students will also tell you about like what questions each PI tend to ask. Like some of the faculties do not change their questions for over 10 years. So that is a shortcut, I would say. And also, I think there is a website where you can find a collection of questions that each PI likes to ask. That is pretty helpful too. But seriously, I took my DBO like 4 years ago. So really, that's pretty much what I can recall from my DBO experience.
Okay, so that's all the DBO questions. Oh, so DBO and GBO are the same thing, so don't worry about the name differences. Okay. How many? Okay, we can maybe switch gears a little bit. I know some of you asked some questions about career outlook, and so far I don't think anyone asked anything about careers. And that's why we really make sure there's some upper class or graduated students here so that they can answer some of those questions. So the dean's slides probably already answered some of the questions, saying that where do most students end up after graduation? Like they can do academia, they can do industry. So I guess we can maybe ask like Jianan or like Ye to share a little bit of what their plans are, like why they choose certain track maybe, so then you can get a flavor on what students are gonna move on to after they graduate.
Sure, like, yeah, do you want to start first?
Sure. Okay. I think because I decided to continue my career in academia, so right now I'm applying for postdoc. Well, I think this is a question you're probably gonna think about it during the whole time of your PhD once you started it. So, it's a hard question. I mean, you probably like during the PhD, you probably gonna think about like whether you like what you're doing and like what kind of goal you really want to achieve. So there's definitely a difference between academia and industry for the future career. And of course, in our departments, I think some people actually go to consulting. Actually, quite a few people I know went to consulting after they graduated in our department. let me think. So yeah, I think when you see in the slides, we have an age program in our department, which I think is really a good opportunity for you to take a look what people were doing in industry. So I think because this is something really up to you, and I would suggest after you finish your classes, once you started doing your research in the lab, you can start to think about this question. You can ask people around, you can look around, go to some, because there are usually a lot of seminars and people who graduated from our department, who no matter in academia or industry come back to the school to give some speech. So you can go and even talk to them. And then the age program, you can, so they host a lot of seminars, and also you can even join the program to first think about industry, or if you really like the research you're doing, so then you can talk to the professors and the senior students or postdocs in your lab, and I think this is there are a lot of options, especially in biomedical engineering, because we can go to industry, we can continue in academia, we can go to consulting, banking, a lot of options. So, well, I think it's time to think about it once you started your PhD, but it's gonna take some time.
Yeah. Thank you. And your concentration is cell and tissue engineering.
I think our lab belongs to cell and tissue engineering, but more specifically, I'm doing molecular diagnostics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are 4 different concentrations within biomedical engineering, or I know on the website there might be more, but the main concentrations includes imaging, neuroscience, cell and tissue engineering, and computational biology. So maybe different track might have a little bit of different career outlook, but here it's representing cell and tissue engineering. So that's just a little bit background for everyone. And Jianan has a computational biology background, so that's from his side.
Yeah. So actually, a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to a department alumni who did her PhD in the department from 2003 to 2010. And according to her, I think our department, back her time, I think our most of the graduate students in our department really pursues a academic career after getting their degree. That meaning that I would say 90% of all the maybe not is that not correct? I think most people went to academia after getting their degree. And I actually did my master's in the department from 2010 and to 2012 in the cell and tissue track, and then I did my PhD in the computational biology track, and I also held a master's in computer science because IT is hot these days, and I've participated in lots of activities in consulting clouds, and I focus a lot on the finance stuff. But I still think pursuing a academic career after getting my degree is the best. It's better than doing IT. It's better than doing this and that. I think being a faculty is just the best thing you can do. So for me, I'm just not. Yeah, for me, I'm just not good enough to be a faculty. So actually, in a couple of months, I'm gonna join a biotech company in the Bay Area, and But still, even in this company, I'm doing a scientist or academic related type of a job, and if there is an opportunity, I'll still pursue the chance of going back to academia. Yeah, that is just my feeling. And yes, if you do IT, you do finance. We have lots of alumnus of the department that does IT and consulting and finance. But I still think like being a faculty is the best. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's most of. Do you guys have any questions about career outlook? You can like type it up and then we can answer them as well.